horrifyingly disgusting segment by this horrifyingly disgusting guy, Greg Gutfeld of Fox News, who, as we all know, is a pathetic excuse for a man to begin with, but he has taken it to a disgusting new level. Let's all check out what he recently said about the unhoused.
For many, this is a lifestyle choice. I mean, when you think about it, it's not a bad one. I mean, no mortgages, no rent, no bills, no boss, no kids, no student loan debt. The only responsibility you have is to get money for drugs. That's why affordable housing is always, to me, it just rings hollow, because no matter how affordable you make the housing, they're not gonna pay for it. The money's gonna go somewhere else. So my solution is always to kill the homeless with kindness. I say the obvious solution is to create zones for the homeless, not camps, but camping grounds, because we're seeing some pretty impressive tents here. Let them live on government land in these tents. Let them have it on one condition in this new world: it's not with us. If you want to be homeless and you want to live this lifestyle, go for it. But we are a civil society with shared norms that we all must meet. We cannot mix with nomadic tribes that are unsanitary and harmful to themselves.
First, I want to say, if you're so concerned that they're not going to give the money to their landlords, and there's no level of affordability that they'll be willing to pay, I can think of one: free. Make it free. And then your ridiculous concern anyway has gone out the door. Make it free. And of course, you have to know the let's kill them pause with kindness. Obviously, we could all read between the lines and understand what he's insinuating. And then, of course, the grotesque rhetoric he spewed afterwards. Let's just quickly fact check this idiot. Now, John Hines, who's a master's level social worker, educator, and writer, attributed being unhoused to many factors, but in the big picture, they are from John Hines: conditions perpetuating homelessness, income-related issues including low income, unemployment, and precarious employment, and limited income opportunities due to low education and skills, lack of support and services, including those geared towards addressing such problems as ill health, mental illness, substance abuse, and social isolation from family and friends. Now, the part 2 of this says that those related to housing factors, including eviction and vulnerability due to living in crowded and or unaffordable housing, of course. Now, furthermore, corporate greed contributes heavily to the number of unhoused people in our country, obviously. And of course, this is something that Greg Gutfeld doesn't give a crap about, but let's talk about it because we do. The top 1% wealthiest people in America now hoard more than 30% of the entire country's wealth after increasing by $12 trillion during the pandemic. Their total combined holdings reached a record of $45.9 trillion at the end of 2021. We've come to this point after decades of wealthy capitalists maximizing their own profits by cutting wages to their employees and raising the rent on their investment properties. This pattern will continue because greed is limitless. Most politicians are unwilling to pass legislation to correct this exploitation for fear of their own funding drying up. She said it perfectly. So, Greg Gutfeld, you absolute idiot. I know that you don't actually care about solving homelessness or, treating people with kindness is what you pretended you were saying. But let's actually talk about some real proven solutions, not his deranged solution, his final solution for unhoused individuals, honestly. But from the United States and Interagency Council on Homeless, some solutions are, wow, wouldn't you know it? Housing, integrate healthcare, build career pathways, foster education connections, reduce criminal justice involvement, and also end corporate greed being an obvious one. Jackson, I mean, what he said was it genuinely made my skin crawl. I know he's a disgusting person, but he's saying that we need to segregate these people so that he doesn't have to look at them.
Yeah, basically that's all it is. He just doesn't want to be bothered with them. And clearly Greg Gutfeld's just a genuinely dumb guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just a dumb dude, and that's what he gets paid to be. But you pointed it out correctly. Really, he's talking about a final solution type of deal, because getting homeless people off the map and away from the rest of society would just open them up to all kinds of abuse that the general public wouldn't necessarily see. So, I mean, it reminds me of that movie District 9. I don't know why that popped into my head, but basically like these aliens came to Earth and they ended up getting segregated and put into these camps. I don't know if you've seen it, it's not important, but just for a reference. But how much money does it cost a taxpayer for these people to be homeless? We know the statistics of a lot of working homeless. And there used to be clinics, mental health clinics that people could visit that were paid for by tax dollars to where they could get different types of assistance. And for anybody who lives like outside of major metropolitan areas, like maybe most of the country, Midwest, South, in a lot of inner city areas, you have street after street lined with vacant buildings and vacant houses that could be turned into free homes with relatively little investment, because people don't necessarily want to buy that property for very much of anything else if they're not gentrifying it, or it's just sitting there rotting because ain't nothing happening there. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many different things that we can do, but getting people off the grid is not one of them.
Exactly. And just to that point, like there's proven programs. We know that, it's actually less expensive to provide free housing than to pay for the failing programs that we are funding. So, I mean, for the odd person out whose concern is genuinely, this is gonna cost too much of taxpayer dollars, it's actually gonna cost you less. So just to undermine that talking point.